Welcome back to They Did What? Your source for the internet's craziest, most entertaining stories, where I go over them, analyze them, and most certainly make fun of them. Today, I'm continuing on with the story I covered earlier, all about Andrea the witch, and this guy who fell into her spell, her web, if you will, and all the craziness associated with that. This is the guy who is from Australia, lived in Britain for a while, but back to Australia, met Andrea on a dating app. And as you all recall, he said that basically he now believes that she cast a spell on him. That's why he stayed with her in her craziness. And I call BS on that. He just simply was just weak. And she preyed upon him, and he learned the hard way. So anyhow, I'm going to pick up where we left off in this crazy story. And you'll hear more about this girl's madness and how this guy eventually gets out of this and what he's learned. So he continues saying, like pedos, female types also have a sort of radar that lets them home in on the men who will take a fair bit of their abuse. Right there. They have a radar for this stuff. It's not because they are casting a spell or a hex. As I'd had a pretty dysfunctional childhood, something she identified in our long conversations, which I realized was her fishing for anything she could use to manipulate me, she also knew I had a big rescuing complex and would go to the wall trying to save her from herself. See? What I tell you. She was just listening and seeing all the things she could use against you. Not that hard to figure out. Also, I so put myself at risk at doing that. One night after a mega fight, she locked herself in the bathroom. Fearing she was going to harm herself again, I broke the door open. I put my hand on her shoulder and she swung around and punched me in the eye. Hard. I taught her how to punch. 2 days later, I was at the orthos with a partially displaced retina. I kid you not. Why did I hit back? That would have been an alien to a man like me. I've been fed the propaganda from a young age. Never hit a gal. I no longer feel that way, however. She got rid of that bit of idiocy and that bit of chivalry. You taught this wacko how to punch? Great. And yet you're still with her. Guess it's the spell. She never slept either. Every time I woke up, she was awake. It was like living with a vampire. Interestingly, the last tattoo she got was a huge black piece of gothic horror scene, stunted trees, bats, ugly and bleak, and very telling. Oh, okay. As soon as the sun came up, she would sit bolt upright in bed, strip off the sheets, and put them in the wash every single day. Okay, she's also eccentric. Why do people with unclean minds have an obsession with cleanliness? Then it was walk time. Every morning, a 2-kilometer fast walk I mostly joined her with. It was like she was constantly exercising demons. Then yoga, then one activity after another. Busy. No time to think or reflect. Just pointless activity for the sake of it. When I would go to work, she would always have an upsetting story for me when I returned. Like how the 2 young guys who delivered the sofa flirted with her, or the guy at the tire shop when she took her car propositioned her, on and on. Drama. Remember, your hero complex, the rescue her thing, she's keeping you in her life to protect her, so she can then mess with you. And it got worse on a daily basis. At that time, I was seeing a counselor through the Veterans Program, Open Arms. Very lovely woman, therapist, who helped me with my Army PTSD stuff. But when I told her about Andrea and what she was doing, she begged me to get away from her. Well, good. I think a good therapist would do that. She even spoke to one of my many shrinks that Andrea had seen over the years, so knew just how much danger I was in. She begged me to break it off, and did I listen? Did I fuck? One of my old bike club buddies saw the changes in me and did a bit of research on Andrea and her rep. He too begged me to get away from her. Once again, I didn't listen. No stupidity was running the show. Smack! I know I could be smacking this guy constantly in this story, but my arm will be too sore and I won't be able to go to the gym. Yeah, everybody's telling me to get away from her. She's trouble. Terrible trouble. Nope. Guess it's the spell. Conversing with Andrea, especially when she was stoned, always revealed secrets. Most of them terrible and disgusting. Oh, do tell. She had worked in a massage parlor. Her body count, by what she told me, must have been easily in the 3 figures. Example, we went for a bit of a honeymoon trip to a beautiful location over the seas to do a bit of whale watching. As we were getting intimate, her phone rang. Some guy left a message saying he was heading up to Byron and wanted to see her. She told me he was just a friend, and I asked if she screwed him. Just the once was her reply. So the sex was okay, but as long as it was only once. She would have conversations with her buddy, the tattooist. Just a friend, of course. She had lots of male friends, including her ex-husband. But this friend who had tattooed her naked, that's a real friend. One where the text messages always had an I love you in it. I got one of my clubmates to ID the guy and found out he was a scumbag. Well, of course he was. And you're the dumbass allowing her to have all these friends. But you're the bigger dumbass staying with her. As it's not as if I can hold my head up with pride and integrity, she told me a story about a guy up north who had done something terrible to her, and being her eternal protector and white knight, I made a call and threatened him, something I'm utterly disgusted at myself for. And worse, I'm sure she just lied about his supposed sins against her. Of course she did. Again, it's just like she's like just toying with you, and you're falling for it. I was so stupid, so gaslit, it's breathtaking to think about it. The truth is, there was no truth. She lied about every single thing. My therapist said to test her by asking to swap phones. Andrea could read all my texts and I could read hers. When I suggested it, I'd never seen a person so scared. She went white with fear. That'll tell you everything. 2 years of this, and I was having a devastating effect on my physical mental health. You think? I was drinking heavily, living on Viagra. It got to the point where I could not stand to touch her. The body doesn't lie, right? The body keeps the score. So she suggested we see a relationship therapist, don't they all? Well, it's your fault you're with her. It's your fault you're taking all that Viagra to make her happy. It's your fault that you became a vegan even though that's not what you wanted to do. It's your fault that you were drinking all the time. That's all on you. I mean, she's an a-hole. We can all agree here, guys. But you, a grown-ass man who's lived a long life and experienced a lot, allow it to happen. Ain't no goddamn spell that she was doing. It was a spell, but not actual hexing and witchcraft. She just, like I said, I can't stress this enough and let this guy get away with it, because in the last video he said, "Oh, I believe in witches and spells." No, she just knew how to play you, and you were vulnerable. And there are so many women out there that are this great at picking out weak guys that have some vulnerabilities and exploiting it. That's why guys got to be careful. That's why I'm doing this story. We did 2 sessions of the therapy and all stopped. The counselor, a woman, very bright and fair, told her that she should never have told me about the massage parlor or the disgusting details of her previous relationships, orgies with her ex-husbands, and said that she needed it to totally change as she wanted me in her life. That was not what Andrea had hoped to hear. What she expected was the shrink to say that I should have loved her despite her appalling, slutty past. But the shrink made her accountable, and that was that. Well, of course, that's exactly what she wanted, to make you be the bad guy. And when she was being the bad guy, well, nope, don't want this therapist. Finally, I actually did manage to get away. Thank the Lord. It must be a miracle. Some divine intervention broke the spell. And my takeaway from this stellar relationship: a drinking problem, serious health issues caused by the vegan diet, a permanently damaged retina, and guess what? An STD she picked up from the hillbilly she'd been with before me. Pretty good, huh? I call that a win. Bro, she's a piece of garbage, but all that's on you. You allowed it to happen. Truth is, it's taken me another 2 years to write about her, to face this nightmare. Why? The shame of falling into her web so easily. The shame of not listening to the advice of professionals and friends. The shame of being so easily manipulated. But I want this to be cathartic as well and stop blaming myself for taking so long to see what was happening. Dude, you have to blame yourself. I mean, she's an a-hole. I can't stress, guys, there are women out there that are predators. They're apex predators. They don't care. They want to hurt you. They're messed up. And they'll prey on weakness. This is why I try to help build guys up. But you got to blame yourself for what happened, because otherwise, you can blame her, but you got to blame you. Because if you don't blame you and put it on her, then you're not learning anything. You have to dig down deep as to why is it you were so susceptible to this. And flat out, you mentioned earlier, the white knight hero thing to save somebody. She exploited that. Obviously, things about your past, vulnerabilities, she exploited that. You told her everything she needed to know, And obviously you liked the freaky witch thing with the tattoos and think you were going to get a lot of great sex. You didn't. So how did I get away? He says, grace. I was sitting on my bike waiting to go to see a chiro for a neck issue, chiro for a neck issue, and suddenly reappeared in my life about 10 years for some strange reason. I'd forgotten something and asked Andrew to meet me. She drove up in the red 70s, looked at me hot rod, and something inside me suddenly woke up. It was like stepping out of a dream. She saw in my eyes. She said it was a look of hatred. It wasn't hatred. It was simply a realization of what I was looking at. And that happens to a lot of guys. A lot of guys suddenly just wake up one day and have an epiphany. It's like, what the hell happened here? Yeah. You were like it's like the frog, you know? You throw a frog in the boiling water, the frog is going to jump out. But if you put the frog in the hot water and slowly turn up the heat, doesn't realize it's getting hotter and hotter and eventually boils to death. You were that frog in there and you just wouldn't get out. And then one day it got too hot and you're like, holy shit, I'm getting out of this fucking water. She was not this desirable sex goddess, but a truly wicked and deeply damaged person who would eventually off me either by her hand or my own. I simply did not go back to her house or answer her calls. When I finally had the enough distance to take a call, I had a deep feeling of sadness for her actually. I could tell she'd been through exactly this many times. There I was, I feel a moment of introspection. But then again, that could have just been more acting. I think sociopaths can do that well. Yes, she was acting and doing that well, and she was preying upon you. Incidentally, a few months later, she turned up at my place out of the blue with a bootload of my stuff. Not the diamonds or the valuable stuff, but just junk. As she parted, I made the mistake of kissing her. Instantly, I felt drawn in again. I guess it was she put some potion on her lips or something. Dumbass. Part of me disappeared, and the desire to be back with her came back. I can only think she'd been back at the table with the dagger. She used to cut my hair, and once she said it in case I fucked with her. Thankfully, she decided to play games, and I rang my therapist, who warned me against her. Like an AA sponsor, she put me back on the straight path. No, she did not cast a spell on you, dude. It's just that you had an attachment to her, and she knew it. And by you kissing her, boom. Look, I've had women that I've been involved with in the past, and then I was dumb enough when I was younger to see them again, and guess what? All it takes is one kiss, and next thing you know, it's like a spell. But it was an actual spell. Last thing I heard, she had hooked up with a group of inner-city lesbians who had decided were her soulmates. Oh, for goodness sake. Knowing the stats on mental health problems in that community, I fear the worst. Fear the worst? Who cares? She's a piece of garbage. For them and her. Either that or she just stayed topping up her body count with a different guy every month or so. Either way, she's out there living a lot of damage in her wake. So why now? Why all this fessing up? Well, simply put, it's my way of trying to give back, to warn younger guys of the risk of internet dating. It's a hunting ground for even the worst women, and it's empowering them like nothing else in history, and it's cathartic too, I hope. Yes, I agree. Lots of wackos out there in the dating scene. We've all been through there. But guess what? You can meet wackos out there. They're just like her, not through online dating. So it isn't just that. But the real message here is, yeah, be careful with the online dating. But the message also is there's wacko women out there. And also the message is don't let yourself be so susceptible to those types. Understand what was in you that caused you to be prey to her, putty in her hand. So here's the cold hard truth. Those narcissistic women you see on TikTok and dating sites are waiting for you, like spiders at the center of the web. It's not called the web for nothing, guys. And you will not want to hear this, but you have no defenses against them. Bullshit. Yes, you do. You need to have knowledge. You need to learn to not listen to your dick. You need to listen to what's up here. Although easier said than done for most guys. You're playing on their turf. They are pack hunters, and in the arena, it's an emotional battleground, and men are the big disadvantage. However, saying that, there will be some good ones. Maybe even decent and more unloyal ones that are rare, as the older generations are really screwed up women, like Andrea, have set the bar, and the younger generation of women have drunk the Kool-Aid that she gave them. Well, I agree with that. And these childless, bitter crones are now running the show in education, politics, you name it, especially the media. I agree with you there. He says, I'm as alpha as it gets, and I'm smart too. Let's not get carried away, bro, because a true alpha and someone truly smart, combining those things with experience, would have gone through all that. I think that you were definitely very vulnerable and the worst time in your life, but still, you can earn back those titles later on. Sure, but what you have just read and heard is the confessions of a man who reached levels of gullibility, credulousness, and downright stupidity that I never thought I had. Well, good. I'm glad you admitted that, because it wasn't a fucking spell. It wasn't magic. But guys, it's happened to so many guys before you, and it's happening to guys right now, and it's happening to guys after. But hopefully your story will help them. Yeah, out of it, I learned something about myself. Sure, I learned the hard way, but I learned that for all my faults, I'm a decent person. A good but flawed man whose desire for love and warmth was used against me by a well-practiced predator. But that's how bad people work. Kindness is weakness. Yes, what you just said there. You were looking for some love and warmth, and you went from to the wrong place. And I know a lot of guys out there are so far gone. They say I think every girl walking around is the devil, and that's not true. There are a lot of good ones out there, but sadly those numbers are dwindling. And the attention that gals get from 24/7 attention through dating apps, social media, and everything has done is damage big time. And gals like Andrea who are certainly have their places in the media and education and politics and all that, aren't helping any. But it's a mess out there. But they're not all like her. But he says, guys, be smart, don't be me. Yes, you don't need to have magic to protect you from these types. Just be smart. There's a war on men, and the only way you can win is not engage in their terms. There are great women out there. Some have saved my life. Some are my heroes, but they're not on the dating site. Read The Manipulated Man by Esther Villar. Brilliant woman. Get armed. If I read those books before I went on the dating site or read Janice Fiamengo, I would have recognized exactly what Andrew was and steered clear. Probably, but the force is strong. Oh, so you're saying if you read those books, then you would have been prepared against her witchcraft and her hexing. If you really thought that what she was doing was hexing and witchcraft, those books wouldn't have done anything. No, those books would have given you knowledge. And that's how you maybe would have been not so susceptible to her ways. Witchcraft, my ass. All I can hope is that when I've documented here, help someone out, particularly young men. In the future, I'm sure our era will be called the Age of the Witch. I think it'll be more like called the Age of something else that starts with a B, dude. Stay strong and informed and know the power that you have as men, no matter how much you're told you do not. So anyway, gents, that is the end of this interesting story here. And I know a lot of you guys are like, what the hell did I just listen to? Well, guys, there's a lot of crazy stuff out there and crazy people. And you can have men out there that their whole lives have their shit together. They're smart individuals on multiple fronts. Even alphas. But they can fall prey to a gal that knows exactly what she's doing. There's something about her that draws them in, and she learns exactly how to rope them in. Remember, all it takes is somebody that's extremely perceptive, somebody that's very well versed, and they can find the weakness in guys and exploit it. It's unfortunate. And it happened to this guy for a couple of years. But at the end of the day, dude, it'd be one thing if this happened when you were like in your 20s, but after everything you've been through, and it sounded like you were in your 50s when it happened, it's a whole different ball game here. You should have fucking known better. And it was no magic, but at the end of the day, it can happen to people. But the best you can do in this situation is learn from your mistakes. So sir, I hope you're doing much better, and you'll think twice before you let somebody in that much, But guys, we can learn from this. A lot of wackos out there. And back to the hot crazy scale. And yeah, watch out for those girls with the tattoos and I'm a witch and all these type of things. They may be freaky in the bed or turn you on that way, but it ain't worth it in the long term. So anyhow, guys, I couldn't resist doing this one. I thought it was pretty entertaining. All right, guys, that is it for today. Be sure to comment down below. Let me know what you think about this. I can't wait to read your comments here. And be sure to like the video, share with your friends, and subscribe. I'll catch you next time.